Hello and welcome to another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. I am your host, Jose on the mic, and with me as always is lovely, amazing dancer May. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Good morning, Jose.
We're doing fabulous here in Laguna Beach.
Aliso Viejo.
Aliso Viejo is where we are, that's correct. Changing around, and you're going to see some critters wandering around. So please try to ignore them while that all goes on. We are
But the
back.
best creature here,
Yes.
Maria Hansen.
Maria Hansen, the lovely and talented Maria Hansen. How are you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? A little tired from the travel, but it's nice.
Yeah.
You got beautiful weather here. I like
I
this.
know.
Oh my God.
I know. We're so spoiled.
Yeah, you
we
are.
so spoiled.
Yeah, we
were
left
in Phoenix
yesterday, and that was
Oh God.
blazing. Hi, see,
Hi.
critters.
Yes.
So,
It's live.
Come on, Louie. Come on. Let's go. Yeah. I know you want to look at everything.
That's awesome. We're obviously in Maria's home.
yes. You can't make this stuff up, kids. That's right.
Very entertaining.
Very entertaining. I'm sorry. So where were we?
I want to start with saying, so this is great that you've invited us again, and thank you for being on the podcast. We had a little discussion right now because you are a CHEK practitioner, and I want to talk about that. But one of the conversations that we had is that Jose and I were in Nashville with David Hamilton in his ballroom, and we love this podcast. The energy comes from having a dance background, but Jose not originally in a dance background, and he was watching a standard couple dance, and we were talking to David, and he said, that doesn't look natural, and David said, it's not. And so this is really interesting because we were talking about how dancers are trying to create different lines, what they see. I think maybe some students try to do that too, right? They see something and they're thinking they're creating something, but they're not doing it in a way that's they're doing it in a way that's gonna hurt their body.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to start.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times people have this idea in the ballroom that it's supposed to be stiff and physically difficult to do. You know, a lot of stretching and everything's about big shapes and pushing your weight across the floor and things like that. But what we have to realize is that in order to really achieve the good look that we see, it's actually very free, right? It's very fluid and very soft. And so I think it's just sometimes people try to do what they think they see instead of really understanding how the body's actually working and how you're truly aligned to be able to achieve what we see.
Yeah, and so part of the conversation we had earlier was because we've had such a great result with a recent chiropractor for Jose who had some absolutely terrible stabbing lower back pain, and this particular chiropractor does adjustments at, I think, C1 and C2.
Yes.
Yeah, very specific. He calls it the fuse box of the body, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
He's monitoring the nervous system with equipment he has in his office.
Right.
Amazing. After one adjustment, after years, literally, of
Chronic back pain. We'll just
and I
label it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what's sorry.
No, go.
What's
Yeah.
interesting, because does he really just adjust the neck?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's it.
my chiropractor too, and it's amazing to think that here you are where you think your symptom is your
Right.
lower back, that's where you think the problem is.
Sure.
But the problem is actually somewhere else.
Way up there, yes.
Yeah, and actually the dancing is so much the same way.
Really?
Right. So sometimes when you see, like for instance, one of the things I think all of us as teachers especially see with people today is a lot of people have sort of a hunched position, a hunched posture. So they come into their studio with their head forward, and then we try to get them to keep their head up. But the problem actually isn't always in the head. It's actually how the hips are aligned.
That's so interesting.
So it's sort of the same
absolutely.
thing. If the hips are not in alignment, the hips are the base. So if the hips are in the wrong place, the whole spine is going to be in the wrong place.
Everything's crooked.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Here we go.
And what do you have to say about it? I understand.
My cat.
Yeah.
And
So,
my dog.
so you, going back, to the neck, said you had some very bad neck pain yourself from dancing.
Well, that's how I discovered the CHEK Institute in the first place.
Okay.
So I danced a lot, right? I was dancing probably 8 to 10, 12 hours a day back when I was dancing. And I did a lot of pro-am, and I had a lot of very advanced pro-am students. And so there was a lot of stress I was putting on my body. And when I was a child, a teenager, I was actually in a car accident where I had whiplash. And so that had kind of changed my skeletal structure a little bit. And putting all that dancing on top of that, I didn't really have the bones aligned in the right place to support what I was doing. But I didn't know that. And so I would try to, you know, produce the line and all of that the way that I thought we were supposed to do. But if the structure isn't right, then you're going to produce problems. You're going to start producing imbalances and things like that. So that's what happened to me. And by the time I retired, my neck was so bad that I couldn't even get out of bed by myself. I would have to hold my neck, and my husband would help lift me up. And as long as I was standing straight, I was okay. But the minute I would have any kind of a leaning one way or the other, it's like the muscles in my neck just couldn't support the weight of my head anymore.
Wow.
That's pretty significant.
Oh, it was bad. And so I tried so many different therapies. You know, I had, of course, chiropractic treatment, and I did something called prolotherapy, where they inject stuff into the area so that your immune system comes and tries to heal it. I tried a bunch of stuff. And then I finally found this guy who is a Blair chiropractor, which sounds very much like
very similar to what we're doing.
What you're doing. And so he was like a miracle worker. He helped me so much. And once he got everything in alignment, he wanted me to start training with a CHEK trainer. So I did. And after about 3 to 6 months of training with this guy, I was retired by this time. I felt like my dancing improved so much because my body was in such a better alignment, right? And so my body was in balance again. Come here, Lua. People are going to think I'm gross with letting my cats be.
We didn't see the cat until we started the camera, just so everyone knows, because that's what cats do.
Oh look, the light is on. Yeah. Let's go see what that's about.
So I was totally sold on this type of training, you know, and it's the whole body training. It's about balance and kind of understanding the postural issues that you have and the imbalances in the muscles. So you're releasing the tight muscles and strengthening the weak muscles. And like Paul Chek says, exercise is like medicine, right? So if you're doing the wrong kind of exercise for the issues that you have, you're just making your problem worse.
Sure.
Just like the wrong kind of medicine.
Right. So you have to have the right exercises. So anyway, I started talking a lot to my CHEK trainer about my own students, because I would find that, why does this student have such a hard time doing what I'm asking him to do? But this guy's fine. And so he would start kind of helping me see different things in terms of
this guy's built differently.
Muscle imbalances,
right,
that can cause immobility, you know, or postural issues. Why is someone having a hard time just standing up straight, you know? And so he finally says to me, he goes, why don't you just go through the CHEK Institute? Why don't you take the courses? And I'm like, can I do that? I'm a dancer. You know, I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not a trainer. I don't know anything really about all that stuff.
Kinesiology, any of that?
Yeah,
no?
Nothing. And so, but I love to learn. I love to learn. So it was a good time in my life for me to do this. And so I started studying, because you have to do all these studies. You have to know all of the things about where all the muscles are and where they innervate and what they do.
It's very interesting.
It's, and my brother-in-law's a chiropractor, and he told me that the things that I was studying was actually more intense than a college biology class, you know, and so anyway, it was really, really great.
Well, it's targeted for one thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to go through all of that before I even did the courses at the CHEK Institute.
Right, gotta know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
What's that thing called? Oh, I don't know. It's a muscle.
It was fun kind of being a dancer in that, because I maybe didn't know or have like the terminology that everyone else had, but the thing that I had that other people didn't have, because we're dancers, we're trained to look at the body, so we can see things that maybe for other people it's harder to see.
Right.
So that's
the subtle things you can see.
So yeah.
Wow.
It was really great. It was a great education.
Now I want to go do it.
I do. I want to.
It was great. I loved it. And I still do. I always kind of think back to everything I learned there and how it has actually changed my own understanding of dancing. Because you understand how the body's actually designed to move. You know, I know what we have to try to do, but what are we really doing to get that kind of movement? What are we really doing to create that kind of a line? You know, like what you were talking about with the girl that looked so unnatural and tense. So what's actually having to work in your body to create that?
There we go.
To create it in a way that doesn't hurt the body.
Exactly.
It looked
so
painful.
important.
And that was just me watching her. I'm like, goodness, that doesn't look right.
No.
And at first I thought, I can't believe he said that out loud.
I say it out loud.
But then it was like, you know, we talk about, like, because he has that not, you know, and he's dancing now, oh, by the way. But originally, you know, coming from a, you know, or I should say, not a dance professional. And for him to go, just really honest, like the eyes of a child, right? Yeah. That doesn't look natural. And so interesting that David said it's not what this particular couple was doing. And she's a very young lady, and I just think that she, you know, when we bounce back pretty fast, but I think
give her a couple of years and see. She won't be doing that anymore.
I hope that she will get some wisdom from you and other people that I just feel like, you know, the dance business has changed so much as far as that we're really getting into, most of us anyway, being very healthy and making healthy choices. And
yeah, we were talking about that. Hey, listen, this is a fine-tuned machine.
Athletes.
You just can't feed it junk. You can't treat it bad either.
Yeah, well, that's another aspect to the CHEK Institute too. He's got like two paths. One is the kinesiology and just kind of the exercise kinesiology, and the other thing is the holistic lifestyle courses, where he talks about health and how we should be eating. You know, things like what your poop should look like. You
heard it here on Dance Teachers Academy.
Okay.
But
usually we talk about that with our doctor.
But also how important just having things, relaxation things, you know, that we're not busy all the time. We have to be in balance within our lifestyle as well.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, make sure our poop looks good.
Hey, I thought
that was a pretty funny class, I have to say.
We had a whole class on it, right? But that's true. I mean, that's like our doctors ask us, you know.
Hey, how's your bowels? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, in this day and age too, I don't want to get into politics and stuff, but with our health crisis that we have, you know, in terms of health insurance and just the
lack of
the difficulty of that, but also just our society tends to kind of gear more towards junk food and things like that. We're not really the healthiest society on the planet.
No, we're not.
We have to start to take care of ourselves. You know,
yeah.
And it's not that you have to be like perfect, but
but when it gets to a point, and you know, I'm not judging or putting anybody down, but when it gets to a point that we have reality shows of people that are 600, 500, 600 pounds, and now they're trying to lose that weight, and when you have a show about that, that means there's a lot of people that are in this position, very unhealthy, and thank God they've come to a place in their life where they're like, okay, I've got to do something. But that's just a lot of unhealthy days to get to that point.
Yeah, and the sad thing is they don't always really understand, first of all, how they got there and what they really need to do to change that. You know, and unfortunately, the things that are put into our food is it really is criminal.
Food source.
Yes.
So, but anyway, I don't want to get too.
Yeah.
We're not going to go down that path too far.
But I think that's really important. That we've talked about that a lot. You know, we have friends that moved to Ecuador, and she does all the cooking. She always has. Married couple, she's done all the cooking, and she cooks the very same foods in Ecuador that she's cooked when she was in the U.S. He had to take medication for his cholesterol to lower his cholesterol. Since they moved to Ecuador, he doesn't have to take it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's in the food
not
source.
a scientific study, but it's an interesting Oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
It's in the food source.
So I think that's important for us to think about that as dancers. Yeah, when you're young, you're like, I remember.
You can eat anything.
Yeah,
and lots of it.
I did this only once. We were getting ready for a competition. I was about to
That
compete.
means she's done it at least 4 or 5 times. I only did this once.
No, I really only did this once. We didn't have lunch. We had to grab something real quick before the competition, and I had Taco Bell. I had fast food. Sorry, Taco Bell. And then went and competed. I was like, I think I danced so well because I felt so bad that I kind of just wanted it to be over with. Yeah. So I just kind of danced and didn't really get nervous because I was like, I don't feel good.
I just went off the floor right now.
I don't feel very good. So, but that's why I said I only did that once. But then you think about, okay, I got to really think about what I'm eating, how I'm treating my body, how do I create these lines? These are really important things. So, because we want dancing to be something that
it should be healthy. It should be healthy for us to do in every way. Not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It should be healthy in that way too.
Yeah. And so, with that in mind, let me shift because that just is interesting. So. I feel like there's a Dance Teachers Academy. We have a heart to really help people. So healthy emotionally. I think it's really important for an instructor to be responsible for healthy emotional choices and to do with dancing.
Especially when it comes to competitions.
Yes.
I think a lot of people have kind of an unhealthy approach to competitions.
How so?
Just, how do I say this? I think they make the winning the most important thing rather than the journey.
Right.
And there can only be one person that wins. And so I have, a lot of times with students, they get devastated or they get upset or angry or whatever, and all these negative emotions that come with that. And, it's easy for me to say this now. Being away from the competitions, because of course we all have a goal and we want to reach it and all of that, and that's what's actually good about competitions. I think they can be very, very healthy in that way, but I think anytime you start comparing yourself to other people, that's not always a healthy place to be.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, it's like, hey, listen, okay, so you didn't get first, you got second, third, fourth, whatever you got, whatever placement. How do you feel like you did? I mean, because listen, it's just subjective.
It's very subjective.
Judges got, what is it? You're a judge. 15, 20 seconds you're looking at them, and then you're deciding, whether.
It's an incredibly difficult job.
Yeah.
And until you actually do it, you don't know. But what I would suggest to people, especially for those that say, those judges, they don't know what they're looking at. It's all politics, blah, 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 blah. What I would suggest to you, if you're one of those people, is get out a pen and a piece of paper and you judge the next comp. Just stand on the sideline and judge it yourself.
Right.
And see how much time, and be honest about it, right? Because when you're at a comp and you're just watching, you can watch whoever you want to. You can watch this person for as long as you want and love their dancing and enjoy it and then say, they should have won. But you didn't really compare them to everyone else.
No.
You have to watch.
You have to watch everyone.
Right.
And you have to assess everyone. Then you have to decide what placement am I going to do. Then you have to write it down, and we get a minute and a half to do that. It's not
kind of easy. I was going to say kind of unfair. I mean, like you say, 15 seconds here, 10 seconds there.
Sometimes it's really not fair. And the other thing is, I could be looking at someone who maybe made a mistake or is they're in a part of the routine that's not really their best work. And then I'm looking at someone else who, they're doing a great job at that moment. Now, maybe as I'm looking at this person, that person sucks. I don't know. But I'm looking over here, so I don't see everything on the floor. We just
got a spot check,
pieces.
Yes. Right. Yeah, so like I said, it's how well you think you did, because you're the one that's putting in all the time, the practicing and things of that nature. I'm like, the placements are going to be what the placements are. I mean, on any given day, it's just you're going to be number one. Next week, you're going to be number 6 out of that group, and it's the same people.
Yeah, and the other thing is different judges have different priorities.
Yes.
So this couple might be better at movement. Maybe they have more freedom in their swing and stuff like that. But this person over here might have better lines, right? They might have better posture. So then you have to decide what's more important to me. I mean, it's really not an easy job.
Yeah. So we're talking about, this is a really important topic. I love that we're talking about this. So, and often it's said with our guests for people to enjoy the journey. This comes up quite a bit. So give someone a tip on how to enjoy the journey.
Well, like things for me, I mean, there's so many different ways you can enjoy the journey. I love to learn. So when people ask me, what do you miss most about competition? It's not the competition. It's definitely not that. But I miss taking lessons. I miss the learning process and like, you know, how does this feel? And I miss practicing. People look at me like I'm crazy sometimes with that, but I loved to practice. Even if you have like your little fights or whatever, it's the feeling and the improvement that you're making on yourself. So I think that's one way, right? Have goals, you know, in your practice and through your competition. Like don't make winning the goal. I mean, you can make winning the goal. I shouldn't say it like that, but have like little mini goals in case you don't win it. At least then you feel like you
checked off some stuff.
Checked off this. Like maybe this competition you're working at getting really nice, beautiful footwork, or the next one you want to create more drama or whatever in your dancing. You know, just pick like little things like that. The other thing is we travel a lot, don't we? So why not enjoy the places that you go see? Like I have one couple that I work with. I think this is just such a cool thing. They're so into coffee, right? So wherever they go, they find the most popular or the best coffee place, and they go there to have their little cappuccino or just stuff like that. You know, I mean. So at least then you're
literally enjoy the journey, the places that you're
If you like wine like me, go find a wine bar, you know, or and here weren't we just talking about health?
Little red wine, I understand is healthy for you.
It is very healthy for you. I can promise you that it is good for you. I do the same thing whenever we go out of town and I go wherever we go. I'll just drink the local brews. I mean, because I'm not going to find them anywhere else. It's like, you know, more likely than not, they're not going to be out there readily available. So I'm like, okay, what do you got local? Okay, this one and this one, let me try them out. So that's kind of what what I do. Yeah. But the wine is also good.
But the other thing too that I love is just the joy of working with students, and then because we all teach, right? Most of the people who are competing too, they teach too. It's just learning to enjoy when your student really understands something, you know, or they get it. And the process of taking someone else through that journey too. I think that's a great way to enjoy the journey. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can do that.
Good tips.
Good tips, kids. This is why we do this show. Well, if we are about ready to wrap this thing up, I'm going to go ahead and
good information.
We've got some good information out there that we can disseminate to the folks. Miss Maria, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for being here again.
Enjoyed the kitties.
At least Tessa didn't go barking at the front window like crazy.
There is that.
Well, we're not done yet.
The lovely May.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
All right, folks. Well, that has been another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. Thank you for watching.